afternoon, Seattle. Welcome back to the Frères, Heureux, a Frasier podcast. The only Frasier podcast hosted by two brothers. Or so we believe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You would have thought that'd be good enough for a nomination at the British Podcasting Awards, but apparently not.
No. The British Podcast Awards had to rubber us in favour of big celebrity names. It's a disgrace. I probably shouldn't slag them off too much if we put in a nomination next year.
No, that's true.
Put in an entry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just playing that sound clip over our acceptance. Like, I am, as always, Frasier.
And I am, as always, Ewan.
That's how it's done. We are back with the final disc of season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Finally reached the end of this season.
Yeah.
After a good few breaks in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we made it. We made it in the end. It's not... I was going to say it's not a great season to get stuck in the middle of, but it's not bad.
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not been any especially bad... No, there's only been one episode that I've given a 1.
I don't know if I've given...
Oh, now I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Mostly it's like a few 5s and then everything else is kind of in the middle.
There's definitely been a lot of 5s.
There have been a few 5s.
And there's more coming up as well.
Yeah. Yeah, disc 5 was really good for me. Disc 3, rather.
Disc 3.
Disc 3 was really good for me.
Yeah, disc 3 was good.
Disc 4 that we're doing now is also... It's alright.
It's okay.
It's pretty good.
It's decent average anyway. Yeah, anything else you want to say? We'll get stuck in. It's a bit shorter intro than usual. There's not really much to say.
No, I don't think we have anything to add.
We've had no COVID scares,
no
holidays
no
or
COVID scares.
Anything.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Mm-hmm.
Finally back on schedule.
I know.
Just in time for me going off on holiday again next week.
Yeah.
But we're planned. We're planned for this one.
We're going to get at least a few done in advance this time.
So it's fine. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get stuck into the good stuff. Frasier gotta have it. Frasier's gotta have it?
Frasier's gotta have... I have it with an apostrophe S. But it looks like you don't.
Yeah, maybe. I just got Frasier gotta have it.
Yeah.
We will look this up later.
Yeah.
But Frasier, he gotta have it. He has got a lovely new girlfriend who they don't really have much going for them, do they?
They don't have an awful lot in common.
Other than the physical attraction. They're horny boys. Much to Niall's amusement as well, as we find out. And honestly, that's pretty much the plot of the whole episode. It
really is.
Summed up.
Yeah.
Frasier and his new partner, whom I can't remember the name, but is played by Lisa Edelstein.
Caitlin,
that's right.
Caitlin, the hippie artist.
The free-spirited
yeah,
artist. And it genuinely is, like, majority of the episode is just them being horny.
It is, yeah.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's... Yeah. I don't know, right? Because Frasier's so weird in this episode. In his, like, moral stance.
Mm-hmm.
Because he takes a very... He's basically on the defensive the whole episode.
Yeah.
He is trying to convince, like, himself, I guess, but Niles and Martin and Daphne and everyone as well, that it's not just physical between them, that there is more to their relationship than just sex. Even though there's
absolutely not.
She's, like, an astrologist and she's vegan and...
Doesn't like wine.
Yeah. Or no, knows a lot about wine.
But doesn't drink it.
Which is
she's not an enophile, as Frasier puts it. Frasier calls her an
Yeah. So he's kind of doing his best to find some kind of common ground, but he can't. And everyone else is like saying it's okay, like you're allowed to do it, and he's like convinced himself that it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's a really weird stance to take. Like, why would he not just be like, no, let's just have some fun?
Yeah. Like, that's what he's doing. I think it's probably because right at the beginning, Niles is kind of teases him about it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, he certainly doesn't seem to think it's an issue until Niles starts kind of going like, oh yes, well, you and your relationship,
Yes.
and he keeps putting extra mustard on the word relationship.
Yeah.
Because obviously they have nothing in common, and it's not going to go anywhere romantically.
Yeah.
It's just that physical attraction. But like, yeah,
he's had relationships before that he's obviously not planned long term.
mm-hmm.
Think of like 3 dates and a breakup. He simultaneously plans on dating 3 different women.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously he's not going to date all 3 of them forever.
Mm-hmm.
So he must know that at least 2 of them are not going to be long term.
Yep.
So why is he doing it if he's got such a moral issue with it?
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
It just feels, I don't know. It kind of is and isn't in character for him. If you know what I mean.
I think being in a relationship with someone like that is certainly in character. If you think of like his first wife, you know, the way that Nanette, we've not met. She did appear in Cheers.
Yeah, sorry, that's true.
But yeah, only we've not spoken about her at all in the podcast. I don't think really.
No, I don't know if she's been mentioned in any episodes up until this point,
other than just offhanded mentions of his first failed marriage or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, like very hippie-ish, very free-spirited. I mean, at the time they were married, at least.
Mm.
So
yeah, it's not out of character for him to go for someone like this. And it's also not out of character for him to find like moral problems where there aren't any.
Oh, absolutely not. That's half of these episodes.
Yeah. But something about it just feels like they've hammed up the situation and made him more sincere almost than he should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't really like Frasier in this episode.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough.
I don't know. I like Lisa Edelstein. I think she's a good little guest star.
Yeah.
Even if she is an astrologist.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll not get started.
But I think she's fun. She's a fun little guest character. And comes on and doesn't really add much to the story, but I just like her.
Yeah.
Just kind of there. Bit of fun.
I like Lisa Edelstein. She's just fun in things she's in.
Yeah.
I always know her from House.
House is probably
her most best known role.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny seeing her in this compared to her role in House, where she's like very serious,
very high strung, and yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, like I don't have an awful lot to say about this episode.
There's really not much to it.
Yeah.
There's really just nothing. The episode ends with the 2 of them kind of deciding that they are just gonna sleep together.
Yeah.
They do kind of move past their like high level differences.
Yeah.
And decide to just have sex.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Frasier talks about it with Roz, and kind of comes to the conclusion that his whole moral obligation to it is if he were leading her on.
Yeah.
If she thought there was more to the relationship than just the sex, then it would be bad for him to continue it.
Yeah.
And then in the end goes and talks to her, and then they kind of both go like, oh no, it's fine, we're just both in it for the sex. And then she's really weird. Like the last scene is just kind of accentuating how weird she is with her whole art thing.
It kind of comes out of left field as well. It's like she's played as like sort of hippie, vegan, little bit out there, but just kind of kooky and fun.
Yeah.
And then the final scene, she's like hunting rats for her art.
Yeah.
She believes that what is it? It's like there's sort of like a wolf cult.
Yeah.
The
lycanthrope society.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't fully actually believe that she's a werewolf, but she believes that like the moon controls her periods,
her cycle,
I guess.
yeah, she says.
And so she howls at the moon to pay tribute to the moon. It's like it's funny. Like I don't think maybe killing rats and putting them in your art is a step too far. Yeah. But I think if you're already in the relationship just for the sex, and you're having like that kind of relationship where you've already been open and vulnerable with each other and they've not tried to kill you, how much danger is there really at that point for Frasier to keep going with this person that's obviously nuts?
Yeah. I guess. She seems pretty level-headed when they talk about the relationship as well.
Yeah.
She's kind of like, yeah, I'm just in it for some fun.
You know, she's not completely unhinged.
Yeah, so, yeah, I guess. And presumably they call it off after a few nights of passion, and that's that, because she never shows up again.
Knowing Frasier, it'll be after he gets it one more time, he'll come to his senses, because he just... The man does not care about keeping relationships going after he has sex for the first time.
He does not. He's the bad man.
He certainly is. Okay,
well, what did you think? You go first.
So I give it a 3.
Okay.
Because I think there are plenty of good jokes in it. I enjoy the scene at the beginning with Niles kind of teasing Frasier when they're in Cafe Nervosa. I like the jokes when Caitlin comes over for dinner and Niles is there, and kind of the teasing continues, but also we see a lot of Caitlin just kind of being weird and like talking about astrology with Martin, and like sitting on Martin's chair and talking about how cool it is. And
did you know we're both Libras? Which explains why I'm so perky, open-minded, and quick to tears.
It's so funny.
I love that, yeah.
And so well demonstrates how astrology is a load of crap. Anyway, I think like those scenes are a lot of fun. I think there's good dialogue in it. It's just the plot's really not especially interesting.
Yeah, pretty much my feelings exactly. I gave it a 3 as well, for more or less the same reasons. It's got some nice little jokes and funny moments. Plot's a bit lacking a little bit. Don't really like Frasier in the episode. It just, I don't know. His whole finding problems that aren't there thing is done a lot better in other stories that are more interesting. Yeah. Here it's just a bit... It just feels like a sort of filler episode in the middle, which is fine. It's not awful. Yeah. It's just kind of... Yeah, just filler. And Lisa Edelstein's good as well. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. A couple of interesting things about it.
Okay. Yeah, go.
Do you know who directed this episode?
I don't, right? But can I take a guess?
You can.
Because I saw something on Twitter the other day saying that Dan Butler directed an episode of Frasier.
It was Dan Butler.
Oh,
this was his first, potentially only. I don't know if he did more after this, but this was his first episode that he directed.
Yeah, that is a fun fact. Dan Butler, of course, who plays Bulldog. If anyone has forgotten, which you shouldn't have because we speak about him enough.
Yes.
But yeah, I saw a thing on Twitter the other day that was saying that he directed an episode, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't seen that, then you would have got me out on a fun fact. But...
We would have gotten your surprise live on air. It would have been much more interesting.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but so actually this episode and another one on this disc, I think it might be the one immediately after, are apparently notable for not having Dan Butler in them, even though he's got a more recurring role at this point.
He is main cast.
I think it's maybe more season 6. He kind of appears in every episode, but like at this point he's appearing in most episodes.
Yeah.
But he was absent from one of the episodes and then appeared immediately after on, I can't remember what show it was, but whichever show it was aired after Frasier had him as a guest star.
Oh, really?
Immediately after one of the episodes that he wasn't in on Frasier. Oh. So it was kind of like he just jumped over onto the wrong show. I thought that was an interesting fact that I read on IMDb. Yeah. Could be completely untrue. You can't trust things you read on the internet. And there is also one of the title cards as a reference. I like finding these references to little cultural things. Yeah. There's a reference to Don Juan in Hell. Yeah. Which there's an episode titled that later on as well. Yeah. Which is it's a George Bernard Shaw play. I just think and I didn't know that because I didn't really know what Don Juan in Hell was.
I did not either. I know it's an episode title on Frasier. Yeah. That's about the extent of it.
Well, there you go.
Cool. Yeah, those are fun facts. Yeah. Sorry, I should have feigned.
No, it's all right.
Who directed this episode? I don't know.
Nah, we're not going to pander to the audience. It's fine. We'll be real here.
Yeah. Yep. So Frasier has had it. He Well, what's the past of Frasier gotta have it?
He's gotta have it. He has had it.
He has had it. What?
It just sounds like he's been killed or something.
I'm finding an interesting segue into the next episode. Frasier died on the way back to his home planet.
He got mauled to death by a werewolf.
Okay, right. Next episode. First date. Significantly stronger in the plot department.
Yeah.
In my opinion, a significantly weaker episode, though.
Mm-hmm.
You might disagree. I feel like this is a very controversial opinion to have, but I don't know if it is or not. I just suspect, given the topic of the episode, that people are probably quite fond of it.
I know there are some people who really enjoy it, and the reasons that they really enjoy it for, I totally agree with, and I really like about the episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm kind of on the same boat as you, where I think there's a lot lacking in this episode.
Okay.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
We can talk about it once we set up.
First date refers to the first date between Niles and Daphne. They're dating, you ask?
Incredible.
No, not quite. Niles pops over to the apartment, very abruptly announces that he's going to ask Daphne out. He kind of has come to the conclusion in his own time that it's time to tell her how he feels. He and Maris have been separated for a while now, so they're kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. And you're smiling. What are you smirking at?
I'm just thinking about you saying Frasier's had it. I'm sorry, it's making me laugh again.
It wasn't that funny.
I know, but it got me the first time, and now I'm just thinking about it. It's making me laugh again.
I'm going to carry on and not look at you.
Yeah.
So he has decided to tell Daphne how he feels. But he chickens out at the last moment as he's telling her. And after a little bit of back and forth in the kitchen where he fears that Daphne's overheard him talking to Frasier, she's overheard him talking to Frasier. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. He confesses that he's actually in love with a woman named Phyllis from his building, because it's the first name that popped into his head, and he didn't want to admit that it was actually her he was thinking about. And so this elaborate hoax arises where he's going to throw dinner for Phyllis, when obviously he's just going to sit at home and pretend like it happened when it didn't.
Yeah.
Daphne shows up and notices that Niles is not prepared. He's not got food. She offers to come in and help. She kind of invites herself in, sort of, to come and help. But anyway, she does, and it's all out of... It all comes from a good place. She wants him to do well, make a good first impression. And the two of them sort of indirectly have their first date. They end up chatting in the kitchen. They make dinner together. He puts on a nice suit. She's very sort of just chatty with him, and they both get along really well, and it's really sweet. And then Phyllis, the lady from his building from earlier, turns up and delivered mail. Is it mail? I think she pops over with.
Yeah.
Which obviously throws a giant wrench into the plans. Luckily, they scare her away by convincing her that Niles murdered his ex-wife.
Yeah, that is funny.
Which is really good. And it almost comes full circle where after she leaves, Daphne is offered to stay for dinner with Niles, and the two of them sit and have a lovely dinner by candlelight, and they have their wine and everything. And it's very nice. Unfortunately, the episode itself's a bit boring.
Yeah.
I'm really not a fan of this episode.
That's fair enough.
I love the scene when they're in the kitchen together and they're making dinner, and that's a really lovely scene.
Yeah.
Watching the two of them cook and singing, heart and soul. It's just really nice. And
they're chopping vegetables and they get the rhythm, chopping vegetables perfect. They're in sync, and then they start singing, and it's very sweet. And it doesn't feel forced, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It feels very natural, which helps it come across as like very, very sweet and cute and romantic, and not too,
forced,
sickly, I guess.
Yeah, well, okay,
yeah. Which I like about it.
But I think that the whole first half of the episode is, I don't know, there's something about it that just feels very empty. It feels like there's nothing to it. Niles coming over, and there's not a whole lot of humor there, and it's all kind of it's all revolving around him confessing his feelings to Daphne, which he obviously doesn't do. And I can't, empty is the only word that I can think to describe it. Just even the set pieces feel empty. It's only the three of them in the flat, in the apartment, and it just, I don't know. I can't describe it. It's just a weird feeling that there's just really nothing to it. There's no weight to anything that anyone's saying. And then it leads into it's not really a farce. I'm always careful with what I describe as farces and not farces, but it's, you know, the fake dinner, I guess. And it's kind of, I almost feel like they should have just got the two of them together. And I don't know. Yeah. It just, there's just something about the episode that I don't like.
I agree. I think if they had gotten to the setup of Daphne's helping Niles prepare for a fictitious date, if they had gotten there quicker and they had spent more time on that, maybe with some other level of farce rather than like the real Phyllis shows up and whatever. If they had something else going on, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but maybe like, I don't know, something with Frasier and Martin going on at the same time. And then we got a little bit more focus just on Niles and Daphne. It'd be a lot better, because I think where it falls short is trying to do this whole like mistaken, well, it's not really mistaken identity, but I guess kind of mistaken identity plot with Phyllis. And it just feels weird, and like Daphne and Martin, when they meet Phyllis, kind of going like, oh, Niles has been talking about you all week, and it like, I don't know, it doesn't really work.
It doesn't work. It's one of those episodes that is really difficult to pinpoint exactly exactly what it is that doesn't work.
Yep.
But yeah, okay, I'm glad I'm not like mad and you weren't like 5 out of 5, this episode's amazing.
No.
Because I gave it a 2.
Okay. I give it a 3.
Okay.
Because I think it is like, the farce element and the whole thing with Phyllis definitely isn't great. It's at the bottom. But the idea that like this is Niles and Daphne actually going on their first date, kind of, sort of, is very, very cute. There's when they're in the kitchen and they're chatting, Daphne talks about how much she likes first dates and how like, oh, sometimes they're really awkward, but it's really, if you're with the right person, it's great. And she kind of lists these things that she likes about first dates. Yeah. Like, they both keep saying me too when they realize how much they have in common. And then, you know, they feel a spark when their hands touch, and then they get so nervous that they start saying stupid things. Yeah. And we see them do all that stuff. Yeah. While they're talking, they they both hate celery, and they both kind of go, oh yeah, me too. And then their hands touch and there's a spark, and Niles says like, oh, we touched, now we have to get married. Yeah. And like they kind of, you know, all of the things that Daphne's looking for in a first date are there, and I think that's done really well. And then Daphne starts talking about like, oh, go and put your blue blazer on because like you look great in it, and no woman can resist you in that. And then she puts on the opera, and she starts talking about how much she has learned about opera the past few years. Renata Tebaldi, and Niles is just impressed by how much she knows about opera, and we see how much they have in common and how well they work together. And it's so cute, and I can't give it less than a 3 because of how cute it is, but I also can't give it any more than a 3 because of how poorly put together the rest of the episode is.
That's fair. That whole aspect of it is nice. I just feel like there was a bit more to the episode surrounding it. Yeah. And I also would have liked to see more done with the episode, because we have this little moment of like Niles and Daphne, will they, won't they? Yeah. And then we don't really have much on that topic again for a fair wee while yet. Yeah. You know, you're talking middle of season 6, they build on it a little bit more. So it's kind of
I wonder if you could have done an episode where Daphne thinks she's helping Niles prepare for a date, with a fictitious woman, this Phyllis that doesn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
But Niles actually thinks that he is having his first date with Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that she has fully just agreed to go out with him and they are having a date. And we kind of see all of these misunderstandings with each other where Niles thinks it's a date between the two of them.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you could get that to work. But
maybe, but it would maybe lead to more conflict at the end. The nice thing about this episode is it does lead to like them actually having their first date.
Yeah.
At the end, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's definitely other options. There's other options as to what they could have done.
Yeah.
Which is why it's just a bit
of a shame.
We've got a nice little side plot as well with Martin Frasier.
Mm-hmm. Going to the wake.
Frasier's annoyed because he's trying to watch a new miniseries.
Yeah.
It's like one of those. Is it like the period pieces, or is it
I
supposed to be
don't
like
know.
current? I don't know. No, it's another one. He's watching a period piece, is it not?
They kind of make it sound like a soap opera.
It's it's kind of like but it's a mini series.
They keep calling it a mini series
over the course of the week. Presumably, there's like one episode a night. So Frasier's trying to keep up with it, and everyone's spoiling it for him at the office and at Nervosa and wherever else. And he's finally sitting down to sit and watch it, and Martin comes through with this like grave look on his face. And he's like, "Frasier, your god uncle died." And he's like, "What?"
My god uncle.
God uncle, your godfather's brother. Like, is that a thing? That's not a thing.
I don't know.
That's not a thing.
I suppose if you were really close with like your godfather, and like,
you wouldn't call him your god uncle.
I don't know if you. Well, I don't know. I mean, we don't have godparents because we weren't christened or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, if your godfather was like a very close family friend, and you were constantly going to events where they were there and also their extended family was there, and you got to know, maybe.
I suppose.
I don't know. We don't really have a big family. So I suppose
That's
like
true.
these like
yeah.
big family dynamics are kind of a bit lost on us.
Yeah. Oh well. But I like that little plot with them going to the
It
wake.
is really funny. They kind of talk about God Uncle Charlie and how he was a ghoul. Apparently, he used to took his glass eye out, and put them in Frasier's marble bag.
Or what is it Niall says? Put his glass eye in the mashed potatoes and say, "I'm watching what I eat."
Oh, that's so gross. Imagine putting a mashed potato covered glass eye like back in your head.
Presumably you'd clean it first.
I know,
you
but
reprobate.
Well, no. If you take it out and put it in the potato, like, what is he going to do? Go and clean it to put it in his potatoes for the gag?
No, clean it before you put it back in your eye.
Yeah, but like, well, both. I don't know. I feel like if he's the type to put his glass eye in his mashed potatoes, he's probably not that bothered about hygiene.
He's not going to eat the mashed potatoes afterwards.
I'd hope not.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I'm going to move on because I really love the next episode. Unless there's anything
No,
in
we
this
can.
one. No.
No. Well, I was going to mention that Phyllis is played by Caroline Aaron.
I don't know who that is.
She's appeared in quite a few different sitcoms and kind of like guest roles. She was also in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I've mentioned before because she appeared alongside Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, you've been telling me to watch that for a while.
Yeah.
And I've still not done it.
I haven't watched the most recent season or seasons. I lost track of it. But yeah.
Okay.
I just thought it was interesting that another guest star was they played more like brother and sister-in-law. No. Sorry. Tony Shalhoub is the main character's dad, and Caroline Aaron is the main character's mother-in-law.
Okay.
So they're not, but yeah, anyway. This isn't really relevant. I'm just...
piece together bits from other sitcoms.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. Anyway. It's cool. The next episode, Roz and the Schnoz, is one of my favourites.
Yes.
I love this episode. I think it's so funny.
This is a great episode.
Like, I think you said at the start, it was one of our first episodes. It was definitely like during the first or second season that we were talking, and you said something like, whichever episode it was, this episode always makes me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something I do often, but this episode always makes me laugh out loud, right? I always laugh out loud at Frasier. It's one of the few sitcoms that I do love, and just I'm always laughing, like literally laughing out loud at.
Yeah.
but this episode has me absolutely creased.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're talking cannot breathe, tears in my eyes laughing.
Yeah.
It is so funny.
It is.
I have no idea how the actors kept a straight face throughout it.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Right.
This is also, I'll mention before we go into the plot.
Yeah.
This is Peri Gilpin's favourite episode.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She has said that this is her favourite episode of the show. Unsurprisingly, because I think it's hilarious. And this is one where we really get Roz, like, I mean, obviously with her name being in the title.
Yeah.
It's like right in the centre of the plot the whole time, and it's so funny.
We should get Peri Gilpin on the show just to discuss this
We'll
episode.
we'll tag her in the tweet when we
That
put
would
it
be
up and see if we get a response from
That
her.
would be amazing. Okay, so you'll remember that Roz is pregnant, as she has been throughout this whole season, more or less. Young 20-year-old Rick, the barista at Cafe Nervosa, is the father, but has gone off to Paris to, I can't remember what it was actually. It was like a
study for a year abroad.
studying of some form. And Roz is quite happy with this and all good. But she, in the midst of moving into her new apartment, is staying at Frasier's for a few nights. While Martin is in Cisco.
Frisco.
Oh, is it Frisco?
Frisco, he calls it.
Cisco. Frisco.
Frisco. San
To
Francisco.
visit all the old watering holes.
Yeah.
With him and Duke. We'll get to that later. So while she is staying at Frasier, she gets a phone call from Rick's mum and dad. Stephen Paula. Sorry, not Laura. Two delightful people who come round for dinner after some convincing on Roz's part. Come round to meet Roz and literally just say hi. Mm-hmm. They don't want to intrude or anything like that, and they make that clear, which is pretty respectful and everything. They obviously respect Rick and Roz's wishes, which is good.
Roz is obviously worried when this whole thing gets set up. She's worried that they're gonna disapprove. They're gonna be well, I was gonna say they're gonna be snooty. We'll get to that. We're worried.
They're gonna stick their nose in Roz's business.
Roz is naturally worried that is worried that they're gonna think that she's like an unfit mother. Like, they don't want their grandchild to be raised by a single mother, and they're gonna
turn up their nose at her.
Oh God.
Sorry, carry on.
So anyway, Frasier invites them over for dinner. Yep. Luckily, he suggests going to Frasier's house and not going to... No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I'm not going to do a bad joke.
Okay.
Anyway, they go to Frasier's house for dinner so that they can... Or they go for a drink or whatever so they can meet Roz. And Frasier answers the door and there they are.
Chatting to someone in the hall.
Yeah.
What is it? Someone they know from work or
something
familiar,
like that.
And they turn around and these two lovely people happen to have enormous noses.
Very large noses.
But seem to be unaware of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of implied that they don't really know or they're not very self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
Or they like messing with people.
Or that's... Yeah.
That they could just be messing with people.
A very real possibility.
But this is obviously a shock for Frasier. He's quite taken aback. Roz sees them. She's very taken aback.
She's completely shocked.
Given that their genetics are within her at the moment. And then we get Daphne stopping in to say hi. She can't keep it together. Mm-hmm. Niles comes over after going to the dog show. Says hi to them. And they say, "Oh, you were at the dog show. Oh, we love dogs. We've got 2 giant schnauzers." They must have had this in the bag for a while. They must have been writing up all of these big nose jokes for years, even just to put them all in this episode. I love it. It's so good. And Martin as well comes back early from Frisco, not Cisco, and he screams when he sees them. because he's so shocked. And it's hilarious. And it's again, it's not even like a farce. It's not like there's misunderstandings or anything. It's just they're in this really hilarious scenario trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
I love it. I like, it's so funny. From the point where they walk in to Frasier's apartment, just about every line is a joke at their expense. And
it's
they're
hysterical.
all gold.
They are.
They're all gold. It's so good. Keisha, I hardly know her.
Oh man,
it's so good, man. I don't even know what more I can say about it, because there is like a bit of an emotional like undertone to it. The whole Roz is meeting her child's grandparents for the first time, which is obviously a pretty tough thing, especially when Rick's not around anymore.
Yeah.
So there is kind of that aspect to it. She's very stressed. She's trying to hold it together. And we get a nice little scene at the end with her and Daphne.
Yeah.
Steve and Paula leave a picture of young Rick. And he obviously had he had a big nose as well.
He had a very big nose.
And then Roz finds an old picture of her when she was a kid, and she has like big ears.
Yeah.
So
big ears and a lazy eye.
Yeah, and a lazy eye. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh.
So she's worried a bit about her kid, but it's all very funny.
Yeah.
No, genuinely one of my favorite episodes of the whole show.
It's hilarious.
It's absolute standout, and it's funny because there's not a whole lot of plot to it. There's not much. Majority of the episode is just them in the apartment chatting with Rick's parents.
Yeah.
With a bit of a intro and an outro with like Nervosa at the start and Daphne and Roz at the end. The rest of the episode is pretty much just that.
Yeah.
And it's
we do have there's a little kind of B plot going on with Daphne. It's Daphne's
with her earrings.
It's Daphne's 5-year anniversary working with Frasier, and Frasier had forgotten. Frasier didn't remember, but Daphne did. Coincidentally, Frasier bought her a pair of cheap earrings just as a thank you gift for running errands the previous week. And she thinks that they are real sapphires and must have been very expensive. Yeah. And it's this thing where Frasier's kind of not wanting to confess that they're not as expensive as she thinks.
Yeah.
And of course not wanting to disappoint her. And there's a few jokes there, but it's mostly just a little bit of padding, I think.
Yeah. It kind of ties in the Steve as a jeweler.
Yeah.
So it kind of ties into that as well.
Yeah.
With them trying to figure out what's going wrong with it. But it's nice. It's still nice. She finds the good in it in the end. She says, like, I could get upset that he forgot the anniversary or that he didn't get me real sapphires or whatever. But at the end of the day, he saw a pair of earrings that he thought I would like and picked them up for me just for no reason, just because he thought I would like them. So... And that's sweet. So it's just kind of finding the good in things. It's a sort of message at the end. There's actually, I think every character has a little, side plot, because Niles has got the dog show as well.
Yeah.
One of the first lines in the episode is amazing. It's so good when Niles says he's going and Maris is going to be there, and Frasier says, "Oh, what class will Maris be showing in?" And Niles kind of has this, he takes a second and he's like, "Well, it's Maris, she'll be showing no class." And I do like that. But no, the focus of the episode's on Roz, and I think it quite rightly too, because she gives an amazing performance here. Peri Gilpin, it's just great. And I'm not surprised in the slightest that it's one of her favorite episodes.
No, not at all.
And as such, gave it a full 5 cups.
Absolutely, yeah. 5 cups for me as well.
I think we've sung its praises enough.
Yeah,
but it's excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
Another interesting wee fun fact about this one.
It's time for Ewan's fun facts.
Yeah, That's not a thing. We're not doing that.
No, okay.
No.
I'll put a little theme song.
Please don't.
US.
So,
Okay, fine.
so the actors that play Stephen Paula,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Kilner and Jordan Baker, are married in real life.
Oh, really?
They got married about 6 months after the episode aired. So
After?
Yeah. So presumably at the time of filming, they must have been romantically involved. Maybe they weren't even engaged yet at that point during filming. And then, but yeah, they got married about 6 months after, and they're still together. I think that's very sweet because that doesn't happen
Is nice, actually.
all that
Yeah,
often
that's cute.
with actors. I think it's very common in Hollywood for two actors to get married and then it won't last.
Yeah.
So it's always nice when you see a couple that like they've been together for a long time.
Yeah. Will they make it to retirement together? Who knows?
Well, we hope so.
Who knows?
Oh right. I hate you so much.
Knows.
Who knows?
Do they have big noses in real life?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest, Kevin Kilner does already have a big nose.
But-
Obviously, he's
but
wearing a prosthetic.
Okay,
It's
they
fake.
are prosthetic. Yeah, okay,
They
that
are-
was
yes.
that was my question. I've
No.
never looked it up.
They
They
are-
obviously do look quite
They are
fake,
incredibly, yeah.
but I didn't want to assume.
Yes.
And then
They are, yes, they are very over the top fake noses in the
Yeah,
show.
cool.
But Kevin Kilner does already have a naturally quite big nose already, which I think is quite funny.
that must have
it's-
been fun for them to film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, excellent episode, and unfortunately, the last 5 of the season for me.
Yeah.
It's probably the last. The next 3 episodes are not bad by any means,
Mm-hmm.
but I think for me, when I'm thinking about the end of season 5, Roz and the Schnoz is like
Oh yeah.
that's the highlight. Of
Definitely the best episode of the disc.
The last few bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, the life of the party. Notable for being Roz's final pregnancy episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to. She gives birth in
gives
this
birth in
episode.
this
I wasn't sure how to phrase that. It's conveniently stuck in the middle of a completely different plot. Niles and Frasier are throwing a singles party, a Marty party,
A Marty party.
and everyone is very hard up, all trying to get dates and mingle with new people, and it's all very silly and over the top. Roz is trying to meet people and no one wants to spend time with her because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And Martin's dyed his hair with some crappy dye, and it melts everywhere on all the furniture.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all very silly, and it's. I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't for Roz's part in this episode,
Mm-hmm.
this would be a 1 for me.
Yeah.
It's really not great
Yeah.
until
Until the
episode with the bit with Roz,
Mm-hmm.
where her water breaks during the party, gets it all over Niall's Peruvian prayer rug.
Turkish
Turkish prayer
rug,
rug, not Peruvian. And they obviously rush away to the hospital for her to give birth. And it's just, it's really sweet. I really like the scene at the hospital because everyone's bickering with each other, and then they see Roz, and they're sort of immediately like, they all focus on her, and it's all about her. It's her giving birth, and there's something really like subtle but lovely about that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, like they're all there for the whole time. I mean,
Even Niles, who
Niles, Daphne,
supposedly
Martin,
doesn't really like her that much, but
they're all there being supportive, and it's really nice.
yeah,
This is like Roz being kind of inducted as part of the family, I guess.
yeah,
Which is really sweet.
and gives birth to little Alice May Doyle.
Yeah,
Lovely little Alice, who we see a lot more of.
we do.
From now on, even as a baby, shows up quite regularly for the rest of the show.
Take note, Friends. That's how you have your characters have children.
You
don't just write them out.
You need to tell me these. I don't know Friends. We've been over this.
Oh, well,
what
Friends
happens
is kind of infamous that like you've got Ross has a son with his ex-wife who gets born at the end of the first season, and he's in like 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
And then Ross and Rachel have a baby around season 7, I think 6 or 7. I can't remember when it is exactly. And then she's barely in it, despite being.
Don't they get together at the end though?
Yeah. There's just
but they have a baby before
like,
that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like barely any plots about the fact that they have one of the main characters has 2 children with 2 different women, one of whom is another main character, and they like are never in it. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I've never heard that before.
Frasier has a lot more. Like a lot of the time from now on, Roz's plots revolve around.
Yeah.
Alice.
Yeah, a lot of them actually.
Kind of half of them are about being a mother. The other half are about her dating life, I guess, still. But even then, Alice very heavily is involved in that because it's all about kind of, it's not just about her dating as a single woman. It's about dating like as a single mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I didn't know that about Friends. That's weird.
I think there's probably a few sitcoms are guilty of that, to be fair, where it's like they'll have kids as a plot point, and then they won't actually write episodes about the fact that they now have kids. And they'll kind of just forget about it.
I'm trying to think what other sitcoms I really know. Think about like How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
They have
that's quite late on.
Lily and Marshall have a kid around season 6.
I can't even remember how many
seasons there are.
Yeah.
But
a couple of seasons towards the end.
They quite heavily focuses on their
changing
life as like parents.
There's quite a lot of parent stories with them, isn't there?
So yeah, I would have thought that actually I think Friends is probably the outlier here.
It is known for being quite bad for that.
Yeah. Oh well, but this isn't a Friends podcast.
It's not.
We've established this.
We have several times. It's a really good baseline. I think this is a very good opportunity to talk about how Frasier is better than a lot of other podcasts, other sitcoms.
I was going to say how Friends is worse than others, but
that
sure,
too.
Whatever. Yeah,
that too.
No, yeah, I mean this episode is not really got much to it again. But it is kind of divided into these two plots. Like there's no indication that it's going to be Roz giving birth.
Yeah.
Like at the start of the episode, it is all about the party.
Mm-hmm.
It's only halfway through when Roz, in fact, even when she shows up in the episode at the party, there's still no indication. It's literally she runs up towards the end and says, "My water just broke."
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes all about her.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually kind of a nice sort of metaphor almost for it, that they just drop everything.
Yeah.
They drop the rest of the plot and focus on her, which is, I guess, what you should do if someone's pregnant and in labor. But, yeah.
So there's not much more to it. How would you rate it? How many cups of coffee would you give this one?
So I wrote down a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the more I talk about it, I kind of want to put that down to a 2.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 because there are 2 things that I like about it. Mm-hmm. One you've mentioned is the whole thing with Roz giving birth and all the other characters being so supportive, and it's all very lovely. And the other is a joke right at the beginning where Frasier's making fun of Niles for being quite so hard up for a date. And they start talking about all of his antique purchases and how he's, I guess, sublimating his horniness by buying antiques. And it's just that it's like buying a love seat, a French bed warmer, a Civil War ramrod, and it's, it's just that little bit I think is really funny.
Yeah.
And then the stuff with Rose at the end and everything else is like, it's fine, whatever. So
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna give it a 2, because I think actually there is a couple of jokes which I'll mention in a second, but the only real redeeming factor for me is the stuff with Roz, and because that's such a small part of the episode, annoyingly, I think it doesn't deserve a 3. I've changed my mind. Yeah, definitely a 2. Yeah.
Oh, well,
but it does. Yeah, has a really great joke at the start, which is maybe a little bit, but it's really funny when they're talking about being single. When Niles and Frasier are talking about being single and what they're going to do, and Martin turns around and he says, you know what we did back in the day when we wanted a date? And Frasier turns around without even like a second and says, invade Korea. And
oh god,
yeah, it's a little bit risque.
It's so funny,
but the way that it's delivered is hilarious.
I always love these jokes when either Frasier and or Niles make a joke at Martin's expense, and they're clearly just cracking each other up.
Yeah,
I think is very funny.
Yeah, it's good. I really like that joke. I think it's really funny. That's it.
A bit questionable.
That's the extent of my highlights for this episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any more fun facts?
No fun facts about that one, to be honest.
Well, there you go. We didn't deserve a 3.
Yeah. There's no fun facts.
No fun facts. Justification of a 2. The next episode, another party episode, appropriately named Party.
Mm-hmm. I always found it weird that there's 2 episodes back to back with the word party in the title.
Yeah, so did I. It's weird, but
I mean,
whatever. Yeah,
what can you do?
Nothing we can do about it now, unfortunately. Yeah. This one's a little bit more interesting. I think it's got a bit more to it. Frasier. It starts off with Frasier having met a woman, and he can't seem to. Everything's going wrong. He's trying to meet her for a date, and everything seems to go wrong. First of all, his fancy Swiss watch stops, which is such a shock because it only loses 2 minutes per decade or something. He says,
yeah.
And then he's out playing squash, and his car breaks down, and he can't make it because he had to come home and change, and blah 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 blah. And then he gets dragged into a party, his own birthday party, in fact.
Yeah.
He gets dragged into his own surprise birthday party, I should say. I should have done that in sequence. I cut myself off.
You did.
That would have been good. I'm going to do it in editing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not, because now I've said I'm going to do it in editing. I either have to edit out that part, which makes it not as funny, or I just edit the original joke.
Yeah. You're really stuck between a rock and a hard place now.
Joke and a Frasier place.
Yeah. Just
I'm going to cut that one out because that was
absolutely cracking content. We're breaking out today, lads. Is it any wonder we didn't win a British Podcast Award?
Yeah. God, right. Where was I? Yes. So not only have we got this going on, we've got Niles has got a new partner. I can't remember the names. I didn't write down anyone's names in this.
I think it's Alison.
Alison, yeah. What's Frasier's new girlfriend called?
Oh, I can't. Oh, I want to say Trisha.
Trisha sounds right. Yeah.
Because for some reason I was going to say Kirsty, but then I'm like, it's not going to be Kirsty because I feel like that's a very British name. Is it? Do you get American Kirsties?
I'm sure you do.
Well, I guess you got,
But
yeah, you will do. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, Trisha sounds right. I'm so bad with names, man. If I don't write them down, I just completely forget them. Yeah, so Trisha and Niles is dating someone new called Alison, and she has an in with the Safari Club. What's it called?
The Safari Club.
It is the Safari Club. Yeah, okay.
I think that's
got that
what
one
they call
right.
it.
That's fine. And this very prestigious organization where they go out on these African safari trips and indulge in wine and orgies and God knows what else. And they have an introductory meeting while Frasier's surprise party is going on. So there's this sort of back and forward, him trying to escape from one and then getting dragged back into the other, and all while Trisha's waiting for him at the restaurant, or at home, I think, at this point. Yeah. So he's trying to get out and get to that, and it's all this very manic back and forward, which is really, really funny. And I think Kelsey Grammer excels at things like this when he's doing the sort of physical comedy, running between rooms, you know, he's got like the ice, he melts the ice,
Yeah.
and he's kind of doing all these different things at once and moving around, lots of physical comedy. I think he really excels at that.
Yeah.
He and David Hyde Pierce both, actually. So I think it's a really fun episode. Both Trisha and Alison are a wee bit boring as characters.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel neither of them are really. I was going to say neither of them are worth the effort, but that sounds very cruel. What I mean is, there's nothing in what they show us of these two characters to make me believe that Frasier and Niles would be so smitten.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a bit more polite way of saying
really
it.
don't see much of them. We hear about Alison kind of secondhand from Niles.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene when Niles is on the phone with Alison. But then she only has about 2 or 3 lines.
It's really not much.
It's not much at all. And then Trisha, the whole joke is that Frasier keeps missing these dates.
Yeah.
So like we see her right at the beginning, and she has a couple of lines, and then Frasier leaves a voicemail in the middle of the episode, and then at the end we have a few lines when he finally gets to go and see her and spend some time with her. But like, yeah, there's not much going on to make them very interesting characters.
Yeah. Alison maybe more so. She's married to the Rhino.
God, the Rhino.
That is a nickname. She's not married to an actual rhino, in case anyone's not watched this episode yet. But there's a bit of discourse between them, which is quite funny. He's a bit of a player, and he likes to rub it in her face.
Yeah.
And she does the same
Does
back
the
to
exact
him.
same thing.
So Niles is a bit nervous because the Rhino is this sort of very scary character who likes to get physical with other men in his immediate vicinity.
Well,
if they have all the safari club orgies, you know, who knows what goes on there. So yeah, there's a bit of Niles being nervous around it and coming clean, but it turns out that Alison's sleeping with like 5 different people.
Yeah.
All at the same time, all to get back at him. So that's, I mean, each to their own, but
I guess
that's a bit weird.
It is.
Yeah, and the episode ends with Trisha as well being this very unlikable character. I think I actually when I was reading through the Wikipedia, as I tend to do for like guest stars and stuff.
Yeah.
It says like the last line of the entry is something like Frasier decides to give Trisha a ride to Spokane. She's going to somewhere I can't remember where exactly. Somewhere within driving distance. He offers to drive her rather than her get in the plane, and it turns out that she is a cult member, and that's like the entry in Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's just how it ends.
But it's not. She's just like a.
Well, it's not. I don't know. Like, there's definitely language they use. So they suggest that she's very, very heavily religious.
Yeah.
Or like they make it explicit that she's very religious. But some of the language they use makes me think that it's not just like she's a part of an
like
ordinary
a
church.
Sect or something, is it not?
Well,
rather than a.
She talks about like her converts and like.
Oh, maybe, I
like
guess.
The leader is called Brother Michael or whatever. And it's like some of the way she talks about it, and she kind of tries to convert Frasier in the car and refer. Have you heard the truth?
Oh, the truth
is what she says. And it's like, I think it's just language like that subtly made me think as well, like, yeah, she's not just like religious, she's
maybe.
like a nutter.
I never really got that, like, until I guess when you lay it out like that makes sense. But whenever I watched it before, I always kind of just thought, oh, she's just like super religious.
Yeah.
And in one of these sort of like close knit kind of churches in America that they all have. I didn't really think of it as like a cult.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite funny that Wikipedia
called it a cult.
But I guess that actually makes sense, which makes it less funny.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's not really a fun fact. I've got no fun facts today.
I think it's a fun fact.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if it is a fun fact, but there you go.
Well, thank you for saying it anyway. Yeah, this episode's a little bit better. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and even when I did give the previous episode a 3 as well, that was probably a lower 3, where this is probably a higher 3.
Yeah.
It's got some fun moments like the physical comedy, and the plot's just a bit more interesting and a bit more farcical.
Yeah.
I'm going to see how many times I can say farce in a single episode.
Yeah.
And I like the things with Frasier's party as well when they're playing charades.
Yeah.
Is very good.
That's what I like about the episode. Honestly, I'm not as big of a fan of the episode.
No?
But I do really like that. We've got like Roz, Bulldog, Noel
is there.
Martin and Daphne,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other unnamed
other people,
guests at Frasier's party, and they play charades, charades, whatever. And it's quite funny. We see Bulldog and Martin being really bad at charades is really funny.
Yeah, that is good. Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, like it's that. I like that scene. I think maybe I don't know how else you would have done it, but the idea of running back and forth between this snooty black tie, very high society event with Niles and a bunch of these rich blue bloods that Frasier's kind of trying to schmooze, but then constantly having to go upstairs to his own apartment where it's like his work friends and they're sort of just having a good time.
Party. You
know, there's potential there. I don't think it's especially interesting. I think the only thing that I really enjoy about the episode is just them playing charades. Really? Yeah. Oh. Like I don't think there's much else going for it.
I like the back and forward. I like them running in between the parties and stuff. I think it's quite funny. Yeah. Well, fine. Each to their own. So what did you give it? Then?
So I gave it a 2.
You only give it a 2.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think it was quite bad enough to deserve a 1 because there's, as always, I think this is during the era where like there's consistently good dialogue. So even the bad episodes, I don't think I can really give them a 1 unless they're like properly heinous. So yeah, it's saved from a 1 because there are still funny bits in it.
Yeah,
it's just not nearly up to the standard of some of the others.
Fair enough. I'll let you off then. You've justified your 2.
I have.
Not that you need to, but
I always do.
It's fine.
Yeah, I always do.
We've come to the final episode of season 5. So soon.
I mean, it's taken a while.
It's taken quite some time, yes. Sweet Dreams. Yeah. That's the name of the episode.
Sweet Dreams.
Bulldog and Gil are doing a new line of adverts for KCL based along this, what is it, Sweet Dreams Happy Time Tea.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the actual name of it is. It's like the sort of herbal tea you drink before bed.
Yeah.
And their slogan is something like 1 cup and you'll have happy sweet dreams the whole night or whatever.
Something like that.
And Bulldog and Gil do this great the little introduction that they at the start of the episode they do with the advert is amazing. I love the two of them together. But Frasier is eventually called in to do the same by our new station manager, Kenny Daly. First appearance of Kenny, who is the station manager for the remainder of the show. I love Kenny. I don't like him in this episode because he's not quite hit his groove yet.
Yeah.
He feels like a guest character here.
They really have just set him up as a one-off.
Yeah.
I think they must have gotten him back because Tom McGowan probably did just such a good job.
He is great.
And he's such a memorable... I can imagine the episode aired and they kind of went, he's too good, we need to get him back, and wrote him into season 6, and then just it kept going from there.
Yeah, definitely. But there's a bit of animosity here. He's played as this sort of, he's quite an innocent character. He's very, what's the word? He's quite gentle. He's quite a big guy, and he's just very gentle. And for most of the show, that's exactly how he's played. But in this episode, in his first episode, he gets a bit more aggressive towards Frasier.
Yeah.
And it's kind of written off as him starting a new job and wanting to make an impact and things like that. And obviously, I guess the same, like, behind the scenes, they're writing this character, they don't really know how they're going to make him. So, Anyway, So when Frasier refuses to do the advert, as he has done several times now, on the basis of his morality, Kenny fires him. And all this, I should have prefaced this with the bookstore thing. I always forget about the bookstore thing.
Yeah.
So all this comes right after Frasier and Daphne have gone to a protest at a bookstore is shutting down. Daphne gets arrested. The police arrive. She gets arrested. Frasier runs away. And he's kind of feeling this guilt. Not just towards Daphne, but towards, like, he used to be such a champion for the little people who with his strict morals and blah, 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 blah. He does this whole spiel. So that kind of makes him more inclined to stand up to Kenny and fight back on it. That is then kind of exacerbated even further when he convinces Kenny to stand up against the station owner.
Yeah.
Which in turn gets him fired.
Yeah.
And results in all of the on-air talent. It's just the on-air talent, isn't it? At the end. Yeah.
Oh, Roz is there as well.
Oh, Roz. Yeah, and Roz. Yeah, she's better than most of the on-air talent.
Yep.
Turn up to the Black Tower where the station owner, Joe Martin. I remember that name. Go to confront him to get Kenny his job back. And Frasier, in true Frasier fashion, giving his big speech and whatever else, convincing Jose Martinez to kind of follow his dreams and to make KACL an all salsa broadcaster.
Yeah.
And yeah, the episode ends on a cliffhanger with everyone having lost their jobs. All thanks to Frasier.
All thanks to Frasier and his big mouth.
Yep. I went into so much detail in that plot and I was trying to keep it together, but my brain is kind of fried at this point of the day. Yeah. So apologies if I got anything out of order or was just kind of like droning on.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that is, it's quite a plot heavy episode. I think it focuses quite a lot on it's not like on the funny side of Frasier's morals, like how we started this disc with Frasier and Caitlin, where it's kind of like oh, he's having a relationship just for sex, haha, that's funny. Here it's like he used to be a principled man and now he's not.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more.
Yeah, he's worried that he's become too scared and too complacent in his life now, that he's not living up to the standard that he's trying to set. Which I don't know, it's a more interesting angle to explore rather than just he has done something wrong and feels bad about it.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like that about the episode.
Yeah, and I like that. I like the stuff with Kenny, the introduction of Kenny, and then the sort of him standing up for his people as well. We've had station managers in the past. Most of them have all been played as quite harsh characters who don't really care very much. So it's nice, even if we take him as like a guest star at the moment, it's kind of nice to see a station owner that, okay, maybe he's a bit harsh initially, but then stands up for his talent. Yeah. He's just a sweet guy. I just like Tom McGowan. He's just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the episode then?
How do you rate it? All we've got to say about it?
I mean,
there's not a whole lot to analyze about it.
Not really. I mean, I enjoy the episode. I think it's a lot of fun.
It's definitely one of the more serious finales.
Yeah. This is the first time we're, I guess, getting a proper cliffhanger. I mean, the end of season 4 going into season 5, we get the whole Frasier boards the plane going to
Yeah.
Mexico
Yeah.
that then is led on. But I feel like that's not much of a cliffhanger because they very easily could have just
They could have
brushed that
written it
off
Yeah.
and just started it. Frasier's back in Seattle, nothing interesting happens, and gone nowhere with it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been out of place. It would have just been that was how the episode ended.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, there's no just going back to the plot
Yeah.
afterwards. So this is the first big cliffhanger that we've had.
Yeah.
We don't get many more. Well, actually,
There's a couple of
there's a
big
couple
ones.
of big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an episode.
It is.
It's pretty middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I marked it as such. I gave it a 3.
Yeah.
Because I think it's, whilst I do like the exploring the more serious side of like Frasier's moral quandaries, it lacks a wee bit in the humor.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't, other than the scene at the start with Bulldog and Gil, I off the top of my head I can't think of any like standout jokes from the episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that serious subject matter.
Yeah.
It's also the first time that no, it's not. It's the second time. I was going to say it's the first time the credit music has changed,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. It's the second time. Do you know what the first time
When
is?
is the first time? Oh, when it's different. I can't really think. Oh well, there's right. Yeah, no, I can't. It's in the 1000th episode or 100th episode or whatever. Yeah,
1000th
we
episode.
see Kelsey Grammer performing live.
He does it live. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. You got there eventually.
I did get there in the end. Yeah, but this is different because we get the little salsa
At
version
least there it's like the same song but
Spanish.
just live.
Yeah.
This is like completely different.
very clearly different.
Um,
So this is the only time that it's not Kelsey Grammer performing it, which
Yeah.
is what was throwing me off because I knew that it's the only
Yeah.
time that Kelsey Grammer didn't do it, so I assumed like it's the only time that it's different.
no, this
But
this is the
No, you're right.
Properly
It is
different.
A little earlier on. Yeah, there are a couple of good jokes in this that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So when after Daphne has been arrested, Frasier is just kind of sitting around the house waiting for her to come home and waiting for the wrath that he's going to face.
Yeah.
Going to get his ass kicked by Daphne, quite rightly. And Niles shows up and says that he's taking them out to dinner because he's discovered a new restaurant in his gourmet newsletter. It's a
Fusion.
Polynesian Scandinavian fusion restaurant
Yeah.
called Mahalo Valhalla, which is very, very funny. And Frasier acts really disgusted, and then Martin later on, he almost goes out until he hears what it is, and then he turns back in and decides to order a pizza. But I don't know. I could go for coconut herring.
I mean,
I
don't know what
I think it could be.
It wouldn't be my first choice.
I think it could be dope. If there was a restaurant like that opened here, I would 100% go
I'd
to
maybe
it
give
and
it
just
a
try
shot.
I think it would definitely be a little bit of kind of morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
But I'm quite an adventurous eater. If someone's like, this is something really weird and different, I'd be like, yeah, front of the line. I want to try that.
I do love the way he delivers the line.
Yeah.
When he says Mahalo Valhalla, he kind of does this little like dip and then rise.
A little like hand
It's like,
gesture.
Mahalo Valhalla.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Which translates very well in an audio only medium like
oh yeah,
this,
of
where we're
course, yeah.
trying
When
to
I'm doing
explain
all the
joke.
little hand gestures,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny. And there is a guest caller in this. We don't get many guest callers. We've mentioned before, we barely get any in this season.
Yeah, there's really not many.
This is, I think, the only season that we don't have a thanks for calling message at the end of the finale.
Well, starting from
I think every other season has it. The previous few seasons definitely have. 1, 2, 3, and 4 have all had
definitely.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I thought it started after like.
No, I'm
Season
pretty sure they all
2
do.
or
I could
something.
maybe have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay.
For anyone who isn't particularly familiar with this, they have a thanks for calling, and it has a little slideshow, I guess,
Yeah,
of
just a
like
little-
headshots and names of all the celebrity callers from throughout the season.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it with this one because there's been like 5.
Yeah,
You know,
really not many.
I don't know if that's necessarily the reason they left it out or because they really wanted to have the joke of Frasier getting fired and with the salsa music in the background. But yeah, so we did get a guest caller in this one. John McEnroe, the tennis player.
Yep.
Famous tennis player, as Patrick, who he's worried that his wife is cheating on him. And Frasier says, like, oh, you have no reason to believe that your wife's cheating on you. Just, talk to her, or like take her out for a nice romantic meal to make sure that you're both still as in love with each other as ever, and it'll all be great and romantic. And he goes, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. But I can't do it tonight. She's working late on her boss's boat again. Poor Patrick.
Poor Patrick.
Poor Patrick, his wife is obviously cheating on him.
Yeah.
And there is a little fun fact about this one, about John McEnroe.
Yeah.
John McEnroe's middle name is Patrick.
Oh.
That's not that interesting, but
if his middle name was like Frasier.
If his middle name was Frasier. His middle name was Dr. Frasier Crane. John Dr. Frasier Crane McEnroe. Yes, his middle name is Patrick, which is the name that his character is. I don't know. I think that's funny.
That's kind of cute, I guess. Yeah.
There you go. I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel for these fun facts.
That's cool. That's cool. I appreciate the effort. That's it.
Yeah, that's the end of the season.
That's season 5. So everyone's been fired. And that's it.
End the show.
Show.
Moving on.
Imagine it got cancelled after that. I'd be so mad.
Oh, that would have been a really funny ending.
I'd be so mad. Yeah, it does pick off again at the start of season 6.
Yeah.
They do pick it right up, which is good. But we will get to that.
We will.
In a couple of weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we will.
I have to say.
Yeah.
One of my least favourite overarching plots is Frasier's little spell of unemployment. I don't think there are a few times where there's kind of jokes, or there's episodes based around the fact that he's unemployed, or there's kind of jokes about him going on these job interviews that go horribly wrong. Obviously we'll talk about them when they're happening, but yeah, I kind of always associate the beginning of season 6 with just these sort of crap episodes where Frasier's unemployed, and I just don't enjoy them.
Tune in, folks, in a few weeks' time for the
big glimpse into how I feel about the start of season 6. Like, I'm not into it. Season 6 does have some great episodes.
It does, and honestly, I think
starting with Frasier getting his job back.
I disagree. I think there's a few episodes right at the start of the season that I really like. So yeah, we have something to discuss.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And
we will get to that. But before we do, highlights.
Oh,
give me your disc highlight, and give me your season highlight.
Okay.
If you can think of any.
Okay. If I'm gonna have to go for favorite, like a favorite episode.
Do disc first. Do disc first. We'll do disc first.
Disc. Okay.
If you can.
Right. What's gonna be my favorite bit on the disc? It's probably gonna be have to be something from Roz and the Schnoz. But I'm trying to think of something that we haven't mentioned yet already.
Which one of the jokes?
It's probably just all of the nose jokes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of if there's any particular ones that I've not heard yet that we didn't mention. Oh, there is one that I'm probably I don't know all of the nose jokes, but one that we didn't mention that I'm gonna give the highlight to is Martin, Niles, and Daphne have all excused themselves and they've gone into the kitchen. They're doubled over laughing because of all of these hilarious things that are inadvertently being said about the big noses. And Steve calls through from the next room and says, "Oh, what's that delicious smell?" And Martin, sort of under his breath, says to the two, "Probably Japan." And yeah, but it's all those jokes. It's all the jokes in that bit. All the nose jokes are great.
So my highlight for this disc also comes from Roz and the Schnoz. But it's not a joke. It's Roz's outfit.
Yeah.
Because I think she looks absolutely gorgeous in this episode. Yeah.
The black with a little white
It's like a sort of, I don't know how you describe it. I always think of like Wednesday Addams.
Yeah, it's probably what I would call it. It's like a Wednesday Addams dress.
The sort of white collar with the black long sleeve dress. And she's got her hair done nice. And I don't know, I just think she looks really beautiful there.
Yeah.
And I really like the outfit.
Yeah.
So that's my disc highlight.
Peri Gilpin's a beautiful woman. They've got a lot to work with.
She is indeed.
So yeah. That's a good one. Okay.
What about full season?
Full season.
Think of something.
just favorite episode from the season,
or a highlight
or
if there's
one
something in
specific
particular.
I suppose it'd be difficult to not give it to the ski lodge, because the ski lodge is fantastic. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take the easy one. And I'm just gonna say the ski lodge because I think it really is. If a specific bit, Guy. I love Guy. I love his performance. I love James Patrick Stewart's performance as Guy, and all of his line deliveries, and I think specifically the bit when Niles says something about his interests lie elsewhere, and he's implying that he's fancying Daphne, but Guy takes it that Niles fancies him, and he goes, "Really?" And
really,
and I love that. That's probably my highlight for the whole season.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. I'm gonna go a little bit more big scale,
a little more broad.
Yeah, a bit more broad, and I'm gonna go with the whole Roz being pregnant arc.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so well done. I think particularly, like, obviously it's addressed a lot throughout the season, and there's a lot of moments where, you know, she's feeling insecure. You've got like the dress she wears to the CBs, you know, the stuff with her trying to date, and her and what's his name, the perfect guy, Dr.
Weber.
Dr. Weber, yeah. Trying to flirt with him, and she can't do it anymore, and
she's out of practice.
It's all very funny, but the start and the end, particularly the kid, her sort of addressing what she's going to do and how she's going to handle it and things like that. It's very good, and Peri Gilpin gives an amazing performance, and I think she's definitely a highlight for this season.
Yeah,
for that fact alone. This
is Roz's season.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Yeah. That's not to say she's not got some great episodes later, but absolutely. I think this is definitely her best, and or contains her best episodes. Yeah, I'd say. Yeah. So there we go.
Great.
That's season 5.
Season 5.
We've kept it nice and trim these last couple of episodes.
We have,
and I like that, because I think one of the complaints when we first started from a couple of people was that
we're waffling
a wee bit. So I'm quite enjoying that we're keeping it relatively tight. We'll try and condense it.
I don't even know if it's necessarily like the episode length. I think it's maybe more that in our earliest episodes it was a lot of just recapping.
We were recapping a lot.
The episode. Yeah. Whereas more, I mean, it's a shorter episode, but we're also recapping very quickly, and it's a lot more just kind of chatting about it, which is nice. I like that.
I prefer that.
I think it's definitely more enjoyable.
We're definitely getting into the swing of things.
Yeah.
We're managing a lot better. Which is annoying, because people new to the podcast will start episode 1 and be like, nah, I don't like these guys.
It's fine.
No, start here. Start at the end and work your way back.
Yeah.
No, we'll be back next week. We have got a plan, so we will not leave you in the lurch again. We will have a bonus episode for you next week, followed by the start of season 6 the following week, which will be very exciting for all involved.
Yes.
Just in general. No particular reason. Just
going to be very exciting.
It's always exciting.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
It's going to win us our British Podcast Award.
We're going to bang on about that.
We are.
For the next
forever
year.
Yes.
Until entries open for the 2023.
Oh man, 2023. Oh god.
Yeah, I should probably stop talking. I'm going to just stress myself out. Okay, well, thank you for being with us for another season. Thank you, Ewan, for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Always. And yeah, everyone, have a great day, good mental health, and thank you for listening. This has been a Happy Brothers podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram @HappyBrosPod.
All opinions are our own, And as always, special thanks to Leo O'Donnell for the show's artwork.